Would you please introduce yourself and your role in microdrama industry?
Sure, thanks for having me. My name is Batyr and I represent Kedoo company. We operate LoveDrama app, microdrama app, worldwide with the regional focus on Latin America, US, Europe, Middle East, and Russia and CIS. I'm the Director of Business Development within the Kedoo, and I'm in charge of the acquisition, co-production, distribution of our original series, basically everything related to content licensing within the app.
How do you tap into microdrama industry?
At the moment, it's for us, it looks a bit chaotic, but thanks to experts, industry experts like you, we can navigate within different regions. Like, for example, if we are focusing in Latin America, we try to combine local expertise, local content, adaptation, and obviously local positioning. Whereas we don't believe that's one size fits all. So if we focus on the app development within the region, we try to understand, we start from the content strategy. So if we have our own produced original series or licensed series, we try to understand the scope and the complexity of the content localization and adaptation. So for example, if it's neutral Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, both dubbing, subtitling, and keeping the voice actors, ideally keeping the voice actors throughout the series, which is very important, and also partnering with local productions and local media companies to bring the local taste and flavor to the app. This is how we try to tap the microdrama in different regions.
How do you collaborate with the local TV stations you mentioned, right?
Media companies, it's usually local production companies who own their own IPs. So, for example, if they want to get into vertical or they're already within the vertical market, we often explore co-production models where both of us, we bring the value like on the IP, and both of us, we can basically premiere the same title on our app and maybe the local partners if they're interested.
So you co-invest.
We co-invest. We actively
Right.
co-invest. We always try to allocate budget towards primary regions. And primary regions, obviously, the app is rolling out slowly but surely in different regions. And we allocate the budget, for example, the next client and discuss different opportunities with the local production company.
When you choose the original shows you produce, how do you choose what kind of topic do you think it's suited for local audience, vertical content?
I might not be the right person to discuss on the creative side,
right?
Because we have the content lead and production team who is in charge of the scripts and the stories that they want to experiment with. But the general rule of thumb is, first of all, is microdrama mechanics. So basically, the act, the cast, the location, and the twist can be from region to region. However, the main underlying story and the microdrama mechanics, it usually stays the same. So you have the trope, which works. Like, for example, the storyline of the basically forbidden romance. The main subject of the storyline remains, while the cast, the location, and some minor tweaks they change. But the overall mechanics, we try to keep it.
I know you acquire content from other platforms, and how do those titles perform? And can you give me some example? For example, this show works in which area and why?
We usually roll out with English first, and then we analyze their performance in English. Although sometimes it's difficult because it's also about the marketing part, which is also a completely separate division within the company.
What is short drama and how do you define it? And the second question is, what is the core or essence of microdrama?
I think, well, for us, short drama, My understanding is that the way microdrama exists now might be temporary, for example, for another 1 or 2 years. And the business model might be temporary. However, the vertical consumption will stay for much longer. So for us, we are trying, this is basically one of the main reasons why we are looking towards some other regions and some other genres. We will apply the vertical consumption, but we will try to experiment with other types of genres and content. We are more likely not to follow the kind of like the proven concepts of werewolves and CEOs, billionaires. But you never know, like what might be the next trend with the vertical consumption. So we will definitely experiment, and for us, it's basically the short drama is it's vertical consumption. The core of it is the economy of attention, that you need to grab the attention within the first 3 seconds, otherwise you lose the user. So the core is the economy of attention, and second is basically vertical consumption of like the story needs to be quick and easy to understand, but the package, the way you basically you package it, the way the story can be different. So the vertical consumption will probably stay. And basically, the microdrama, in our understanding, in the last 12 to 24 months, might change very quickly.
Let's pause for a second. China is about 3 years ahead of overseas markets. What is happening in China will likely happen overseas. That is why I wrote Future Playbook, China's short drama ecosystem and insights for global business. If you want to tap into microdrama industry, start there. Now let's continue.
I'm just curious, how do you promote your microdramas? Is mostly through ad buying or social media promotion?
We use different channels, but media buying is not primary channel for us because the same reason is it's too crowded. It becomes more and more expensive. It becomes ROI negative. So we use different user acquisition channels, including social media and including our YouTube background, because we've been working with YouTube for the last 15 years and we have a huge expertise on how to work with YouTube algorithms in order to get the recommended traffic and so on and so forth. So we try to combine different marketing strategies in order to attract audience to the app. Although it's a long run strategy, we still try to focus on the app as a product, not as a kind of as a one-off landing page, just to land the user for this specific title, get the most out of it, and that's it, done and dusted. We try to focus on the user retention and how to treat the existing audience, although it might not be as big as, for example, tier one microdrama apps, but we try to treat the audience as a kind of like loyal fan base that we can nurture and kind of like treat with the new, fresh content and create IPs, not one-off series. To have the sequence, maybe in the future to have spin-offs, sequels, prequels, just basically bringing the traditional media IP universe to the vertical consumption.
How do you create IP? How do you translate traditional IP, TV IP to microdrama IP?
First of all, it needs the series, or the series needs to become successful, which is a kind of like quite difficult part of the job. Once you have the fan base generated around the series, you can try experimenting with the ideas of sequels and prequels. And once you have the season two, like for example, the easiest route is season one is successful, you continue with season two. And then if season two is successful, you continue with season 3. With Turkish TV series, you can continue up until season 17 or 20. You can basically combine different models, or you can come up with the story before that as a prequel. And that's how you create the IP universe.
So have you tried male-oriented stories?
Yes, actually, we are looking towards thrillers, action, but at the moment it's more reactive as opposed to proactive. So we have this 20% of R&D, which might become the next 80% of the app success. And within that 20%, we experiment within different target audiences and genres, including thrillers, true crime detectives, male audience, teenage audience, psychological thrillers.
Do you or want those audience or into one app? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Don't see any conflict. As I mentioned before, we try to create a product as a vertical Netflix where you can find everything, including documentaries or maybe animation in the future. So it's basically, it needs to be the whole ecosystem addressing the family viewing effect as opposed to narrow audience, female, for example, app only. We want to bring the family viewing effect to the product by addressing different target audience with different types of content.
Do you apply AI into either production or script writing or any workflow?
We do more and more. It helps us a lot on the pre-production side. We've started experimenting with the full production cycle of AI. Yes, our analytics team is heavily relying on machine learning AI to basically to predict which stories and series will have more chances to success.
Can it predict? Is it possible for it to predict which is a success?
I don't think we are at that 100% yet, and I think we're still far from having 100% accuracy. But considering that we are coming from the data background, we heavily rely on the big data and trying to gather our own analytics of content and competition, as well as basically the database of the kind of like stories and ideas that can be successful.
Except accessing the scripts and final product, what else do you do with AI?
As I said, we started to have the full production line with the AI series, and it will be a different kind of like production line and a different section within the app with AI series. And we want to make sure that we addressing both live action and AI series, and in most cases, AI series addressing the fantasies and the ideas of the stories, which would be too expensive to shoot in real life. So it gives us a bit more room to maneuver and more room to experiment with different concepts and stories. But we just want to make sure that we have both. So we are not relying on AI to replace our content slate, but at the same time, we want to make sure that our audience have the opportunity to watch both AI and live action.
Have you produced already, or you are in the process of producing?
We have produced already.
Yeah, how's the results?
We are very happy. I cannot say that it's 100% realistic. Basically, always find some details which is not meeting the criteria. But we are satisfied with what we have at the moment, but there is always room for improvement.
Are the audience pay for those AI shows? Do you know their feedback? Do they like it?
It's too early for us to analyze because we produced only first series and it premiered only a few days ago. So it's a bit too early to analyze. But we are eager to know a bit more the feedback and the response from the audience.
Yeah, that's interesting because in China there are a lot of other platforms they're trying to produce AI shows. Might be a lot of the AI content. So let's say if one AI show is a super hit in the app, do you want to produce into a premium real actor microdrama? Do you consider doing that?
Interesting. So if you have the AI concept to be replicated with like in real life, we haven't thought about it, but I think it's a good idea, something to consider, because we don't treat AI as a test of the story. We treat it as a completely separate story that unfortunately cannot be, for example, shoot in reality. This is something to consider.
If you shoot a vampire or fantasy stuff in AI, using AI to shoot, if that's a super hit, let's like sell the product in different packages. If it's successful, might try it. Why not try it using real actor, the top tier actors to perform it and sell it again?
Did you have these kind of cases when the AI series was extremely successful?
Currently, no, but I'm not sure. I'm observing the industry as well. If I see this super hit AI drama, I'm just curious. Probably if it's a like modern drama or some ancient love story, if it's not that expensive, I think those platforms probably adapt into a real person microdrama. Yeah,
And
so
I
don't know.
completely agree with you with two or three genres that might be interesting to experiment with AI. Is basically period dramas, period costume dramas. Second, basically sci-fi, and third one is fantasy.
What's the future, do you think, the short drama is?
As I mentioned before, the vertical consumption will stay. The content will definitely change. And what works now, we can already see the ceiling of the audience and see that new subscribers are not growing. So the overall pie stopped growing and the audience is moving from one app to another. But the question is, how do you address and attract new audience to these applications? And I think the answer to that is building fan base around different genres, building another fan base around. I'm a big fan of true crime detectives, and I've read most of the books and most of the series. So for me, if I think I would be the first one in the line if there was one app fully, for example, dedicated to true crime detectives.
Do you have anything else you want to share? You want to collaborate with other platforms or collaborate with other creators?
Absolutely. So basically, on the co-production side, at the moment, what we are actively looking for is basically co-premiering or co-production between applications. So if we have a story which is already successful or which our partners or us believe to be successful, we are open to models where we both invest into the production and we share the IP and we share the risks. Yes, so basically it's a collective learning curve where we all try to navigate towards new blue oceans and to mitigate the risks, to mitigate finance. We are open to any collaborations within the app and producers.